I'll show you guys about the antivirus security filtering that would be possible. And I guess someone had requested me to show about, I guess he's not present, how to do URL filtering. So I'll just show you how to do URL filtering, but this is not going to work out, okay, without license. The devices should get started. It will take some time. Let the devices come up. So you guys are doing lab, right? How many of you are doing lab? Okay. Palo Alto labs you are doing, right? I'm talking about Palo Alto labs. Okay. There is some time to get started with the firewall. So till then, I'm just discussing. Uh, evening, evening time, I can say like, sorry, night time from 10 p.m. till morning, it will be free. So if you guys want, you can access. Daytime physical guys will be there to access. So nighttime you guys can utilize. At least you can practice it for a few hours also. It will be benefit for you. Okay. So who wants to take access at the night time after 10 p.m. just let me know. You want to take? Ah, okay, I'm able to ping. Okay. I need to wait few minutes more. Then only I'll be able to log in. So in content ID, first of all, I'll get internet access over here and download, I'll try to download some virus file. I'll try to download virus file.
Yeah, Sushil, sorry. Can you allow recording?
I'll request for the virus file. I'll try to download it and I'll check my virus file will be downloaded over here. After that, I'll create a security profile and I'll implement that security profile on my security policy from LAN to WAN, and then I'll try to access. It will not be downloadable. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to do through HTTP only because I have not enabled the decryption. By default, decryption is not enabled. Then we'll do decryption. Again, we'll see after the decryption whether your firewall is able to block the virus files or not to the HTTPS. Okay. So in between, I'll also show you how to do URL filtering. Because Harsa, I guess you have this the question, right? It will be under the content ID only. That's it. No, you don't have the other places that you will, go through. Okay. So let's see. I try to log in. Okay, I'm able to log in. 103, sorry, 103.0.0.254. Admin, follow. Okay. Now I'll go to the uh, okay. I'll come to the objects. Under the objects, can you guys see here security profiles? Under the security profiles, I told you almost 8 type of filtering will be there, right? Can you see here those 8 types of filterings? Like antivirus, anti-spyware, vulnerability, URL. Okay, for file filtering, wildfire, data filtering, and DOS protection. So all these types are there. In document, I had shown you except the wildfire and the DOS protection. 6 types I have shown you. So total 8 profiles will be there. So out of that, whatever you want, you can use it. Wildfire, these things, without subscription, it is not going to work out. Okay. So let's create the antivirus first. Okay, before I get into the antivirus, I just want to test. Like if I go with the test PC and if I access the internet and I'll try to download some virus file and you will see without security profile, it will be downloaded. Okay. So you have the website called eicar.org. You'll open this particular website. Okay. And here you will get a download anti-malware test file. Click here. You can see download option and you can see under the download option you have HTTP and HTTPS. HTTPS for sure, right now your firewall will not be able to stop it. And for the HTTP will say. Now let's say with the http.ts able to download. Okay. Now let's come to the admin PC and here I'll add the policy. I'll add the custom policy. I would only say antivirus custom. And here for the HTTP, what action is by default taken over here? Default reset both in both the directions, like for the server to client or client to server in both the cases. Those are reflected over here. So through what protocol the virus can be downloaded? So through these protocols, what action you want to take, you just can define over here. It's up to you. So I created one custom antivirus profile. Okay. Now, if I go to the policies, you can find here I have LAN to WAN policy, and under the LAN to WAN policy, if you guys see here, do you see under the profile any kind of profiles attached over here? It's showing none, right? Okay. So I'll come here. Go to the actions. Can you see here profile settings? Under this, I can say profiles. Now, what type of profile do we have? Antivirus profile. Just say okay. Say commit the changes. Okay, once it is done, now let's come to the test PC. I'll come to the same page. Download of virus spyware has been blocked in accordance with the company policy. Please contact your system administrator if you have. If you believe this is an error. So if you think it's an error, you can just inform your administrator, or else the system does not allow you to download. So I can see my antivirus is working fine just for testing. It will not block all the types of viruses. Okay. Now at the same place, if I'll try to download uh, a file with the HTTPS, the packet will be encrypted. You'll be able to see I'm able to download it because the traffic is encrypted, right? Your firewall is not having visibility. So obviously it will get downloaded. There won't be any kind of, the decryption done on the firewall. So before I get into decryption, I want you guys to show about the URL filtering, how URL filtering can be done. For the antivirus filtering, the same way you can create the custom URL filtering, or else you can move with the default. You can see here in the default policy, you have categories, overrides, URL filtering setting, your user credentials, okay, HTTP header in intersection, okay, interaction. What is this? This insertion. Okay. Okay, fine. See here, guys. Now we have the category, and under the category, we can see multiple types of categories are there, right? You can see here, like we have the multiple categories, like we have the adult over here, we have the actions, we have the business economy, okay, and you have the multiple types of like dating sites, you have the gambling sites, game sites. Here are the multiple the kind of categories which I don't want to be used in my network, like alcoholic, tobacco, okay. This type of sites I don't want to get accessible. I want to give an access for the educational types of access. I want to give an access, I don't want to give an access for the gambling sites, game sites. So can you see here, by default, some, actions are predefined. Some are having allow, some are having the block. So if you want to change the action, you can. You can change the action for this, and you can define the action as per your requirement. Okay, so this is what you can define. If you want to check any URL for the category, so what will happen, let's say for example, if you have the internet connectivity, and if you click here, then what will happen, it will open the URL filtering of the Palo Alto networks. Okay. On this test PC, I have the internet connection, right? For the URL connectivity, I'll do one thing. I'll get the firewall access on this test PC. So if I say https colon double slash 10.11.11.10, I need to allow the https access, right? So I'll go to the firewall. I'll come to network management profile, and I can see HTTP is allowed. So I don't want HTTP, I want HTTPS. So at the LAN interface, I enabled the HTTPS to get an access, a GUI access on the test PC itself. So test PC I'll be using for two different purposes: for testing the network connectivity and also for the firewall connectivity. And here I have the internet connectivity, so it will be easy to identify or to get an internet access. So okay, I can see I got the internet access. So I hope you guys will not get confused that I'm using the test PC for both the accesses. Okay, username as a admin and follow also. Now I was into network and the URL filtering. When you see the default URL filtering, what do you see at the top? Read only. You cannot modify it. It's a default policy defined over here. You can just use it, but you cannot make any modifications over here. Now, no, you can create, but which is pre-created, you cannot modify that. Okay, let me click on the default. You can say check URL category. When I click on this, you can see one of the URL category has been created. I mean, like you got the access, right? Now, let's say, for example, you want to test some website. Like you don't know, like Facebook will come under what category. So you can click here, you can give the details, and you can see it will come under the category of social networking. Easy to find, right? So whatever the website if you get, and if you are not able to identify, just click on that and go for the particular website. You will come to know about the details about the categories. So this is how you can easily identify. You don't need to bang your head by searching it will be in what category. No need to think about it. So this is how you can identify. If you want, you can use a default policy, but in most of the conditions will be using URL filtering. The custom way. License required for URL filtering to function. So if I have the URL filtering, though the without license it won't work. Now let's say for example, now here I'll give custom underscore URL filtering. Okay. Now here, let's say for example, I want to take an action here. I want to say block this site, alcoholic sites. I want to block it, addictions, block it, gambling, block, games, block, hacking, block. In this way, whatever the things you want, like job search engine, block, peer-to-peer connection, block, phishing sites, get blocked. And here also I'll try to block some social networking. See, social networking I'll try to block. See, I created my custom type of the URL filtering. I created the URL filtering just with the default database. I didn't create my own anything. So I created a type of blockings. I don't have any overridings. Okay. I don't have any alert or continue categories over here. So just as this information, I'm going to apply the URL filtering. I'll come to the policies. I'll go to LAN to WAN, and I'll come to the, you can see service or URL category. So I'll come and add over here. Okay. Here what you can do is directly you can add the, like we already defined the action, right? So based on the action, what we'll do, let's say for example, here we defined URL filtering, and under the URL filtering, I added the custom URL filtering. I defined some actions over here. So the custom will be always given as a priority. Okay. Now, so I'll come to the policies again. I'll come to LAN to WAN, and I'll come to categories over here, and you can select. Let's say, for example, you want to select like social networking. Okay. And here I can see the URL filtering over here. Okay. You guys don't need to come over here. Okay. Now, this thing you will be using when you want to allow only a particular type of URL. Okay. Now, the custom URL, like the custom URL setting with what I created, if I want to get applied only that one, you can see the URL filtering that comes under the custom, that comes on under your content filtering. You can come here and you can find the custom URL. So basically what I'm saying, to only allow the URLs which are present in the category and whatever the actions I have defined, that has to be taken place. So I'll say commit over here. Now let's see. Here I have the application block policy, right? In application block policy, I have blocked the Facebook and Gmail. Okay. For meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable this policy so that this particular policy will not take an effect. Your application will not get blocked based on the this rule. I have defined the URL filtering, right? In URL filtering, I defined the social networking has to be blocked, not to get an access. And I applied the URL filtering from LAN to WAN. Can you see the URL filtering applied here? Antivirus URL filtering now. So let's come to the test PC, and here I'll try to get an access to the Facebook, www.facebook.com. Say it's working. Basically, without the license, your URL filtering is not working. If you want the URL filtering to work, you can simply take a license, and this is how you can apply, and it will work. 100% it will work. These steps are same. The steps are same. You can use the same step. Okay, you can come here, you can apply. As you had seen, right, I applied the policy. Right, I applied the policy for the antivirus. The virus was stopped, right? The same way, URL filtering. If you have a license, then what will happen? The filtering, whatever you will apply, right? It will work. So this is one of the way that you can apply the filtering, or else what you can do, you can come here. Now you can see here URL category. Now, if right now what is there? Any categories of the URL are allowed it. Now from here also directly, if you want to deny any URLs, so what you have to do, let's say for example here I had the block policy, right? inside this itself, what you'll do, you will enable it, and what you will do inside this, you will add some categories like games. I want to block the game websites. See, some applications are blocked based on the applications, and the URLs are blocked based on the URL categories. So by combining application and URL filtering, we do complete filtering. Okay. So some of the applications we block from here, even some websites which works basically on the applications will get blocked totally from the application. But if some applications which are working on the URL, if it's not getting blocked, so what you can do, you can do the URL filtering for it. So you can apply here and the action will be denied or the drop, whatever it is. So the entire URL categories will be blocked or denied over here. But the case in which the action has been allowed, the action has been taken here as a allow, and then I want to take a effect on my URL categories. So what you'll do, you'll create a custom URL filtering, and I mean, like, you'll create the profile, and that profile you will be calling over here. So as per your requirement, whatever the categories you have used to allow, that will get allowed, and whatever the action you have taken as a drop, that will be dropped. Okay. Now, apart from this, in URL filtering, what you can do is, let's come to the objects. Can you see you have the custom objects? Now, let's say, for example, if I tell you, like, right now you have the social networking, social networking category. Under the social networking, all the social sites will come, like Facebook and Twitter will also come. Now, if I am blocking the social networking, if I say block here, then all the sites will get blocked, like LinkedIn. All the social networkings are getting blocked over here. But my requirement is Facebook should be blocked, and the Twitter should be allowed it. So is it possible, like, I can do it in this way? Yes, it's possible. So what you will do, you will create a custom category itself. You'll create a custom category. Like, the already we had seen the categories are present, right? Here, what do we see? Already we see the predefined categories over here. Here we have predefined categories. So you can create a URL category over here. Add a category with name of custom Twitter, and I'll add the website over here, www.twitter.com, and I would say okay. Now can you see the custom category got created? Okay. Now if you come to the URL filtering, can you see custom Twitter available here? What is the action? Allow. You can define as per your requirement. Now this, always remember, this custom URL, what we have created, will always be given priority than your default categories. So default category is social networking, and the custom category is Twitter. So these I have taken over here, and this custom category, what action has to be taken over here? Allow. Say allow. Now what will happen? If I see the categories over here which I have blocked, I can see social networking is blocked. It means the Facebook, LinkedIn, and all, everything will be denied. And I created the custom URL filtering for the Twitter, and I give the action as allow. And as per the rule, the custom will be given as a priority. It means Twitter will get an access and the Facebook will get blocked. This is how it is going to work. So this is how you can do the URL filtering. Yeah, you can create the multiple categories also. You can create your own custom category, whatever you want, you can define it. Is it clear, Harsha? Okay. Okay, there is another question from Uni. How does firewall know whether the URL is safe or not? Does it have the built-in database or the cloud connectivity to check the URL? Now, how to check the URL that I have shown you? How to find out the category of the URL? Now, how does your firewall know whether the URL is safe or not? Basically, your firewall is having the predefined rule, or else you can create your own rule. Okay, you can define the category wise which is safe for you and what is not safe for you. If you are not able to decide, use the default category or the default rule which is created for the URL filter. Okay, so firewall will take care of it. After that, you can how you can create the custom policies that also I have shown you. Apart from that, if you have enabled the HTTPS decryption also, and if you have enabled file filtering, or sorry, like antivirus filtering, anti-spyware vulnerabilities and all, so what will happen through the URLs? If any kind of malicious files or intrusions are coming, it will match with the signature, and with the signature, with the active signatures, if any, the viruses are getting masked, so it will detect it. It will take an action if any URLs are getting masked. So based on the URLs, what will happen? It will take action. You can see the default rules are there for each and everything. Okay, and based on the default thing, if you want to take an action, you can. Okay, now if you go for the vulnerability over here, if you click on the signature, okay, you can create your own signature. You can add your own conditions over here. Okay. Based on the security label or severity label also, you guys can create the action. Okay, can you see the signatures over here? These all are the signatures which are by default present. You can see around 3936 types of threats signatures are present. You can see like this. So this is for the anti-spyware. Similarly, for all the types of like antivirus vulnerability, the signatures are pre-present on your firewall, and they all are having the severity labels and the actions predefined over here. Okay, so whatever the actions are predefined over here, based on that it will be taken action. Now if you want to alter the action, if you want to change the action as a drop, a block, you can see multiple types of actions are there. You can edit it. So basically the active signatures only will be in action, or else it won't take an action. Am I clear, Uni? Any other questions? Let me know. So this was your content filtering, guys. Okay, based on these things, you can do the content filtering. Now we are going for the decryption. Okay, so right now when I go for the decryption, come under the no, decryption is separate. Content ID was separate. When I had shown you the security policy, You can see here are the different security policies, right? Sorry, security profiles, right? So these are the things which comes under the content ID. Apart from this, everything will be the individual one. Okay, one more thing under the content ID I want to show you. Under the content ID, let's say I applied the content ID individually over here, right? Instead of applying individually, what I can do, I can create a group. I can come here. You can see security profile group. You can say add group. You can say group underscore custom or whatever the name you want to give. You can. You want to create a group of antivirus, anti-spyware, URL filtering. Such in such way you will be creating your group. Now you'll go to the policies, and under the policy, let's say you have a LAN to WAN policy, right? Come under the action, and instead of going with the profiles, you can go with the groups, and you can select the group over here, and you can apply. So this will apply all the groups, all the profiles at a time with the help of group. Okay, so guys, content filtering is done. We'll move towards the decryption. Before I move towards the decryption, I want to show you here, like whenever you guys are accessing any website, what do you see? Your HTTPS access is coming, and you can see it's logged. When you click here, you go to the certificate, and you see it's validated by whom? Issued by Google Internet Authority G3, and it was valid from to. You can see the validity over here, and I can see the details over here. About the certificate, whatever you want to see the certificate details. Now you can see the path also where exactly it is. So in this way, there will be always a third party or the organization itself validating the certificates. So they are responsible for encrypting the traffic between the client and the server. The same way, I need, whenever the traffic is passing through the firewall in my organization, my firewall should be able to take an action on the HTTPS requests, but the request will be decrypted only then the action can be taken. So for that, what I need to do, I need to generate the certificate. So first of all, I'll come to the devices, and under the devices, you guys can see the certificate management is there. So I'll come under the certificate management. I'll come under the certificates. I'll generate the certificate. I would say my name is NH, my IP address NH India, and I'll give the IP address or the domain name, whatever you want, you can define. Let's say I want to say 172.16.16.3.48 as the IP address. And I can say, so I want to create it as a certificate authority. I can say the algorithm RSA used, key size, and till how long you want the certificate to be valid. By default taken 365 days. So let it be. Additionally, do you want to add the certificate details like I belong to India, my state is Karnataka, and my uh, organization is NH. So in this way, you can add the multiple details. These are the optional. These are the certificate attributes that you can add. So I would say generate, generated successfully, and click on this certificate. You can see forward the trusted certificate and forward untrusted certificate. So it's up to you that what you want to do. So if I want only the trusted certificates to be forwarded, let's say those who are using the certificate in the browser should allow and others should not get access. So I allowed it. You can see my certificate is valid. This is important to see. And the same way, if you guys are having the third party certificate, you can add the certificate over here and it should be valid. Now, your firewall by default also has the root certificates. These all are the root certificates of all those sites to whom you are trying to visit. So what happens basically when the firewall has to re-encrypt the packet and send the packet to the destination server, so they will be, your firewall will be using these certificates of those servers so that they can re-encrypt the packet and forward it to the servers. So that will be basically the encryption between the firewall and the server. And when the server replies back, then the firewall will be able to decrypt it again, see the packets, match with the security profiles, re-encrypt it and send it to the user. This is how the communication happens. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to download this certificate on my client PC. So basically I'm on the client PC itself. I'll say export and I would say, okay, I can see the details of my certificate issued by whom, this particular IP address and details you can see. The issuer is this IP, NH, Karnataka, India, validate from what, when, all these details I can see over here. So I can say okay, and I should be able to see under the downloads that I downloaded. Okay, let me download it again. uh, Wait. Okay, it's downloaded here. Download. Under the downloads, I don't see. Okay, I can see here it's downloaded over here. This is today's date, right? So I can see today's date, it is downloaded over here. Okay, I can use this certificate. I'll just delete the existing one and I'll paste the new one. So this is my new certificate. Now what I'll do, I'll get into the browser. I'll use some other browser. Let's say I'm using Firefox. I'll come to the browser. Here I can see some cached memories are already there. So I'll just I'll clear the history. Okay, now I'll come to certificates. Can you see here? I can import the certificate. I mean, like, wait. I can view my certificates. I don't have my certificate yet, so I'll import it. On the desktop, I can have my certificate. Okay, authorities, import. Now, can you see the certificate? Come here and say this certificate is identified website, or this is a CA to identify the email users. Okay, now if you want to see the certificate over here, uh, say OK, and again try to view the certificate. You will see the certificate here. Can you see the certificate over here? Okay. So this is the certificate which I imported to the browser. Now, this is not only enough. You need to you need to get into the policies. Under the policies, make sure under the security policy you have the base policy from LAN to WAN or wherever you want to do the decryption. This is important. Then only you guys will go for the decryption over here, and under the decryption you will add the decryption. So let's say for example I want to do the decryption between the LAN to WAN, and here I'll select the tag LAN to WAN. My source zone will be LAN zone with any IP addresses, and destination zone will be the WAN zone to any destination. And here I can see I want to decrypt the traffic. Okay, and I can see SSL forwarding proxy. Now here again you have the proxy default decryption profile. What is this default decryption profile? If you come here, you will see here, like if you want to block the sessions with the expired certificates, block sessions with untrusted certificates, untrusted issuers, or if you want to block some protocols, if you don't want to accept the request coming with a 3 days encryption. So it's up to you what you want to do, what type of minimum version or the maximum version you want to get applied. Minimum I want SSL version 3, to the max whatever the request is coming should be acceptable. So it's up to you. You can create your own setting and you can call it over here. By default I'm going with the default policy. Now the proxy, SSL proxy is all about like defining your L2 label or L3 label of decryption to be done. So after creating all these things, say OK, and I created the policy over here. Now, after creating the policy, I'll just say commit. Now I'll go to the browser. That URL filtering we have applied, right? Due to the URL filtering, it requires a license, so information is coming when I'm committing every time. Now let's say you will try to go to the any websites like google.com. Can you see here? Okay, I'm not able to see issuer over here. But it's not like you are getting the access, right? Hold on. We'll see the issuer also. Okay, when I come to see the certificate, can you see here who was the guy who was verifying the certificate over here? Right. So basically, see, sometimes your browsers will have their own type of certificates, issues and all. So let me try with Internet Explorer. Imported this successfully. Now here I'll try to get an access for www.google.com. Can you see here? I'll try to go for Google over here. Okay, so the best way would be, let me get an access to the eicar.org and I'll come here. Earlier with the HTTPS, the virus file was getting downloaded, right? Now here I'll try to download. What do you see? When the packet will be decrypted, I'll not get an access. I'll not be able to download the file over here. Okay, let me try this thing. www.eicar.org. It 8.12 firewall is very good. these things works very fine. Okay, I'll go to the download and I'll try to download this file. So from anywhere you won't be able to download it. So basically what is happening, the virus file is getting blocked. Now at the same place, if I disable the decryption, so what will happen? Your virus file will be downloaded through the HTTPS. So which proves now let's say for example under the policies, I've applied uh, 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 this is separate policy, LAN to WAN policy, right? Can you see the group policy applied? If I say none over here, okay, or if I come to the decryption, if I come here, if I disable this, if I commit it, after this, what will happen? You will be able to get an access to this virus file. It will be downloaded from anywhere you want to download. You can download it. Just come to eicar.com.txt. Can you see it is allowing you to download? Okay. So which proves your HTTPS works. Which security rules, Herson? The security rules which you are able to see here under the security policies. This is what you're talking about. Uh, that time only you have to enable the decryption. And that time only that certificate has to be shared with all your clients. Now, after 1 year, it depends when you generated the certificate. So the date of generation of certificate, now till what time you need a validity. So every after 1 year or, based on the validity, you can change the validity or you can give it for 2 years or whatever. Okay, so guys, we are done with the decryption as well.
Hey, Sushil, I have a question.
Yeah.
So when we are decrypting any packets, we need the certificates, the originator's root certificate, right?
Yes.
So we don't know actually what are the certificate authorities that we are inspecting against. And normally firewall comes with some default certificates.
Yes.
So does the firewall root certificate have uh, the keys to decrypt any packets?
See what happens when you are generating the certificate on the firewall. So basically, when you download the certificate and you install it to the client machine, and when through that particular browser, when you're initiating the traffic, so basically the public key of Palo Alto firewall is used for the encryption purpose, and when the packet reaches to the firewall, then the firewall will have its corresponding private key and it will be able to decrypt it. So this is how your firewall understands that, the certificate has been used. The certificate authority we are creating as a Palo Alto firewall itself, right? So when the certificate authority finds the certificate used by the client request is coming, so it has its corresponding private key, which helps to decrypt the packet, and it decrypts the packet and takes action upon it. Okay, so by default, whatever the root certificates you are having on the Palo Alto firewall, that is not created by the Palo Alto firewall. That is basically imported from the other certificate authorities, so that it can re-encrypt the packet and it can forward it. So whenever you want the decryption to be done in your internal network, whenever the packets has to be filtered in your network while passing through the firewall. So either you can take the subscription of the third-party certificate authority and you can assign that third-party certificate to your firewall. So that third-party certificate will be responsible for validating the certificates. Or else, you want yourself to act like a certificate authority, so you can create your own certificate, download it, and install it to your browser. Both the things can be done. Yeah, these things you can do. Another thing, if you are doing the decryption, then make sure according to rules of your Indian policy, like you are not supposed to decrypt the financial transactions. So you should exclude it from the decryption. You should not use it for the decryption. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Uh, okay. So one more last lab that we are going to do today. That's your user identity. We had discussed about the user, right, yesterday. Why do we need a user, right? So to have the reports generated based on the users, we need a user identity. So what I'll do, like if this rule is disabled as of now, you can easily get an access to any particular the secure sites. There won't be any kind of restrictions. Your firewall will not be verifying it. So you can see it's validated by the Google authority itself. Okay, now this PC is getting an internet access without any kind of the authenticity, and the reports on the admin PC I can see are generated based on the IP address, not based on the not generating based on the user ID. So under these informations, I don't see any kind of user information. Can you see from user any information over here? Can you see user, which user is trying to get an access? Can you see from user information? It's not present, right? It's showing unknown. So basically you can see only the IP addresses. So reports are getting generated based on the IP address. But I want the user identification to be done, right? So what I'll do, I'll come to the devices, and under the devices, you guys can see here, have the user identification. Okay. Before that, what you can do, can you see the user local database? Okay, come to the local database. You can create the multiple users, or before that, you can have the group. Let's say I'll create the group as a cells. I created one of the group. I'll go to the users. I'll create one user called Sam. I'll create the password. You can create the password like capital A small b 1 2 3 4 5, capital A small b 1 2 3 4 5, say okay, I created the user. Okay, it does not allow you to assign it to the group from here. So you need to come back to the groups and you can see add user. So you can find the user. So accordingly, you can create the multiple groups and assign the users to the particular group. So this is how you can manage it. Now, what you need to do, you need to get into the authentication profile, and under the authentication profile, you need to create one profile for the authentication. So I would say say auth profile. Now you can see here what type of authentication you are going to use. Is it with the external database or is it with your local database? So it's my local database. You can see advanced is required. So come to this particular option and you can find you want to get applied it to all or you want to apply it for these cells. You can select it over here. Now I created the authentication profile and now I'll go to the user authentication, so user identification. Here you will find the captive portal. Under the captive portal, you will find authentication profile that I created. Now here you'll find the transparent mode and the redirect mode. Transparent mode is basically used as a L2 firewall when you are configuring the firewall as a L2 firewall. The redirect will be required when you configure your firewall as a L3 firewall. So I need a L3, and what is the host through which I want to get the traffic to be redirected for the authentication? My 10.11.11.10, my LAN IP. So this is what you need to define. And if you want the timers to be modified, you can modify captive portal idle timing 15 minutes, okay, and the 60 minutes over here. And you can say okay, and this is how you'll be enabling the captive portal. Now after this, we can come to the objects, and under the object you can see authentication is there, and under the authentication you can see the default web page is there that I can apply it for the, whenever the user will try to authenticate, he will get the web page. So I can use the web form or I can add the my type. I'm going to use the default one. Now I'll come to the or else wait. I'll come to the authentication. I'll say here. Now under this I'll say my cells authentication enforcement. My captive portal should be used as a web form, and I can see the profile, which profile I created for the cells. You need to select it over here. So once you select it over here, now you created the authentication. Okay, this is known as your authentication enforcement. Now this, you have to take it under the authentication policy. You can see the authentication policy over here. Come here, and under this you need to say, okay, this is LAN to WAN authentication. You can give the tag LAN to WAN. My source zone is a LAN zone, and my user, you can define the cells. Okay. Destination, or you can say any users, or you can allow any, any user. You can say any. Now destination to the WAN. URL service, you can say any services. It's up to you, or you can apply HTTP or whatever you want. Okay, you can define the action, what you want to go with the cells. Okay, now in this way you can create your own type of the policy. Any user while going with the, going the outside from LAN to WAN, or else if you want to give an access to the particular user or particular group, you can select it over here. So it's up to you. So you can create the policy, say Okay, and commit it. Okay, this is not only the end. You guys can come, you have to come back to the interfaces, sorry, to the zone. Under the zone, what type of, which zone you applied the authentication. Here you have to say enable user identification. Now you want to include only for the particular subnet, you can define here, or else let it be with any subnet, and go to the interface management, come to the LAN profile, and under the LAN profile, you guys can see here HTTPS, sorry, your response page and the user ID. Make sure these two things are enabled. Now you can commit, say commit, it's done. So let's see the task whether it's committed or not. Okay. Say close. Okay, once this is done, I'll go to the test PC. Right now I'm getting an access. Okay, this I should not. Uh, when you come to the user identification, I created the user, I assigned it to the group, I created the authentication profile, I enabled the captive portal, I selected the profile over here, redirect IP address, I enabled response page and the user ID. I allowed it, I enabled user identification at the interface. Web form, local authentication profile, these things we have done. Okay. I created the security profile, sorry, authentication profile from LAN to WAN with any services you can see. Okay. I allowed it only HTTP, right? I can include the HTTPS as well. Okay. So you should get the web page like this for the authentication. So let me get into the admin PC and also let me select under the policies authentication.
So if you just try regular HTTP page, it will be blocked, right?
You should get prompted. Okay, no issues. But I said anyways, any services. I didn't select the HTTP or HTTPS. If you want, you can.
As you're saving this, Sushil, so term under user ID, terminal service agent, is it a same thing, or it's a different application?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
I'm talking about terminal service agent, Sushil, under user
Terminal
ID.
server.
Terminal, not server, terminal services agent. Let me send the link. Maybe it's a different topic. I'm assuming it's part of user ID where you install an.
Are you trying to tell about the tunnel information? Tunnel?
No. It's identity management only, device user ID management only. I sent you the link. Maybe you can look later and maybe
Okay.
it's a link.
Okay. Okay, come here. Let's go to the test PC again. Let's open any one of the browser. I'll create the history of previous access, whatever we have. Okay. I'll go for google.com. This is not working on this firewall also. 8.1 was perfect. See, without licensed devices, right, abnormal activities will be there. Okay.
You basically deleted every other policy.
Which policy have I deleted?
Um, okay, so they are still there. Okay.
I have all the policies.
The new
It works very easily. Okay, it's not anything. Your policy is also not getting any hit count over here, right?
yeah.
Okay, we'll see this lab tomorrow. Okay, right now we
Okay.
don't have time.
Yeah. Sushil, can you upload today's and yesterday's video, please?
Okay, I'll upload it.
Because during the last batch too, I did not record this application ID filtering and user ID authentication.
No
So
issues.
I don't have any copies. So if you
Okay.
can upload now itself, it will upload so that I can download.